everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Cassie, also known as KnittaCass, and this is my channel where I talk about my projects that I'm knitting, a little bit of some crochet that I'm learning, a bit about my family life on a farm in Vermont, books I'm reading, and a spice of mental health. So grab your favorite beverage and let's get started. First of all, it is finally starting to feel like spring. We have had a couple days where it's almost 40, which might sound kind of silly, but for us in Vermont, that makes us think of spring. We've had a lot of sunshine lately, which also helps. It's really helpful with my mood and also seems to give me a lot more energy. So that is super exciting. I have a lot to share today, not tons of Yarny stuff, but a lot of some books and other things that I am currently interested in and a couple new skills. So for finished objects, if you've been here for a little while, my goal for the last 2 years, this is the second year, is to knit 12 dishcloths. Last year I didn't even come close. I think I might have done 4. This year I've done I think 2 in January and I've done 3 in February. So this one is crochet. I'm very new to crochet, so I'm very excited. It's kind of turning up a really weird green on there. It is a bright green, but it's way more softer than this is showing up. So this is, I believe, 24 stitches wide. I didn't really count the rows. I just looked for what seemed like a dishcloth that I would normally use. I made 2 in this color, but I can only find 1. My hunch is that I might have already used it. Still have to weave in my ends. And then I made another one. Same thing, 24 stitches across. Just kind of kept crocheting until I got to a length that I wanted. I do not have the colorway for this, but they are both made out of sugar and spice. Is that what it's called? I think it's sugar and spice. It's run-of-the-mill washcloth material. I am still going to try to do a lot of washcloths from the kitchen sink. She is a pattern designer. I signed up for her newsletter last year and I signed up again for it this year. And what she does is she sends you a dishcloth at the beginning of every month and has the picture and the instructions, and each year she chooses a theme. Last year's theme was based on books and this year's theme is based on treats. So the one for February was a Linzer cookie. I have not made that one yet. I might put a picture in here. The one for March is a biscotti cookie and I have not started that either. That one looks quite simple. So I might whip that out sometime soon. So my washcloth total is the 3 here and at least 2 beforehand. So I'm at 5 and it's March. So even if I break it down into 1 a month, I'm ahead of schedule. So I think I can really do 12 this year. I also finished my Outlander shawl. It's actually called Return to Lollybrock. It is designed by Sam B from Bumblebee Acres. Let's see if I can... It's got this really nice open lace work. It's got some cabling, and then it's got a picot edging that you'll kind of pull snug when you're blocking, so it'll look more like points. And you have the option to do a color change, so that's what I did. It kind of fades into the other color. This one is called Rhaenyra Targaryen. It is the main character from the House of Dragon series, which takes place before Game of Thrones and follows the Targaryen family. So I really enjoy it. I have finished the entire season 1 and I can't wait for the next season. Then the other half is also by Bumblebee Acres. This color is Bonnie Lass. And it's a little bit bigger gauge-wise. I think you can probably see. And that's because although they are both sock yarns, this one is a different base. So this is, I think, their Coquette sock base, and it's a little bit hardier, which would make a really nice winter sock. And then this one is a little bit lighter, which might make a nicer summer sock. I do tend to knit most of my socks in this kind of weight. I was a little worried about the gauge affecting the overall look of the shawl. Oops. Let's see here. But it really doesn't seem to have, I mean, you can tell it's bigger, but it doesn't seem to give it away or anything. So this is my Finish It February project. That was part of a make-along that I was running with May of 3 Stitches Designs. And I do have a winner to announce today, but I'll get to that a little bit later. Both yarns are also by Bumblebee Acres. I believe that's actually it for whips. I've been kind of stuck on the Stephen West shawl. Not stuck like I don't know how to do it, but I feel like I want to get it off the needles so much that I'm not really knitting on anything else, which is also slowing me down because it's not as enjoyable when it's the only project I'm working on. But I did make a lot of progress from the last time I chatted with you. So the last time we chat, I had finished this horseshoe cable work on one side of the shawl, and I was maybe about this far, a couple, maybe 4 inches on the other side. But I have finished this on the other side of my shawl. This yarn is called Talk Nerdy to Me, and it's by Fiber Stash Yarn Co., which is a Vermont dyer. The blue is something about beach or waves, and it is by Messud yarn, which is a yarn dyer in New Hampshire. And this orange is also by the same dyer, Messud yarns in New Hampshire, and this one is something about a sunset. And then you have these, like, I don't know what you call them, long arms that have this really cute wavy cable work, super simple. And you are starting some skinnier wedging that attaches to this piece. So I am about half maybe finished on this wing, we'll call it. And then on this side of the shawl, I did not quite finish the wing. One of my members in my knit group mentioned that those who have been doing this shawl either ran out of room on the orange strip or had too much room on the orange strip. So they recommended kind of doing the wedges on one side first, and then I can kind of figure out if I need to make the other orange arm shorter or larger, because with Stephen West you can kind of fudge things a little bit. He calls it what does he call it? I don't know. I call it pulling a Stephen West, but I don't know what he calls it. So after the wedges, I have some chevrons to do at the bottom of these loopies. And then there's like this extra weird thing that I don't like. So after I do the wedges, I'm going to cast the shawl off. So in all actuality, I could finish this soon if it was bringing me joy, but it's really not. So I'm probably going to set it aside again. Every time that I have done a Stephen West shawl, I finish it in like February. So I'm feeling a little pressured to finish it, but there is no reason to feel pressured. It's just me. No one else needs it done by a certain time. There's no deadline. So I just need to have a little grace with me, or a little grace with myself, and put it aside for a while. This is in my sheep bag I got from Rhinebeck, and it's by Tika Bags. That's a cute little, I'll probably have it backward because I think that's the Eiffel Tower. I really love it. It's a large size. It could probably fit a sweater. We'll find out. I think I'm going to use it for my dream project sweater, which I'll talk about shortly. At the end of basketball season, I did not have any like plain kind of mindless knitting that I could do. So I pulled out a Perfect Regia by Yarny and Carlos, and this yarn makes a pattern just by knitting and stocking it. So I'm just going around and round and round, and I'm getting this really cute pattern. I've made one pair of socks by them. I actually have it near me. This is the one pair of socks that I have made from them. It was super fun. I did a contrast heel and toe, and it is for my son Wyatt, who doesn't wear it. So it is currently on my desk, or is currently on my dresser without a mate. So I think these socks are going to be for me. I think they're going to be for colder weather. It's similar to the Coquette base for Bumblebee Acres. It's got more of like a rustic kind of sturdier sock. And now that basketball season is over, I'm not sure when to use it. I might use it when I'm watching Outer Banks. I'm really into that series. My son got me attached on it, and the new season came out at the end of February. I'm super behind, but it's kind of action paced, so I can't do something that requires too much patterning or thinking. So maybe I will sit and watch Outer Banks and just plow through these socks. Here is the label, and it's color 03760, and then this is a picture of Yarny and Carlos. That is also it for whips. I still have Sad Jack. I don't want to show him. He's so sad. I really need someone to kick me in the butt to get him going. If you've been here for a while, you've heard about Sad Jack at least a couple of times. If you're new, I am knitting a doll for my son, and it's essentially Jack Sparrow, but because of copyright, I think it calls it Samuel Crow. And I've got the whole body done, and I've got his legs and arms done, his toes done. I have his hands, I haven't attached them. I have his pants done. I have his outer jacket done. I'm halfway through his shirt, and the rest of the things are his hair with some beading. I gotta fix his goatee. If you were around for the last podcast, my puppy Bella decided that Sad Jack was going to be a snack and gave Sad Jack a lobotomy. So I had to fix his head. It's super ugly. I'm really glad that he has a lot of hair. It will hide it. And my mojo for it just kind of tanked when that happened. So I did start with the bigger pieces so that as I go along, it's shorter and shorter of a time to make things. I've still got his boots and a belt and rings and a sword, and I just have to get through the shirt, the boots, and putting his hands on, and then I'll be okay. I do want to attach his hair before I show him to you, but I might show him next week, and maybe mentioning him here will give me some accountability to show some progress on Sad Jack. So that is it for finished objects. That is it for whips. I do have cast on itis. I'm not sure what I'm going to cast on next. I have a couple things going. I'm thinking about knitting some mittens for my niece and nephew, which is completely past the season. So with them growing, I probably won't do it. I'm just really excited about this book that I have. It's called Winter Knits from Scandinavia. It's got 24 patterns for hats, mittens, and socks, and it's got like the Selbu type, which is really fun. And like they have cute ones, like that one's got a snail, that's got butterflies. So I really want to cast on something from here. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll make it bigger, or maybe I'll make a small size and donate it. I don't know. I want to cast on something, so we'll see. And this is by Jenny Alderbrandt. I also have a sweater that I've been drooling over forever. It is the Autumn Court sweater, and it's designed by Dragon Horde Yarn Designs. It is inspired by the Court of Thorns and Roses series, and it's got some nice color work in the yoke, but it also has color work at the end of the sleeve, and then the body and the main sleeve are just straight, no color work stockinette. And I want to cast that on. I did get some yarn for it. I went out with my friend Salila yesterday, and we went to like a pub joint, and we had a beverage together and a burger, and the burgers were wonderful. The camaraderie was great. Our bartender was super friendly. He said he used to shoot cannons for a living, and so he's like, hears things a little funny sometimes. And we were talking about being yarn dates, and he called us yard apes. So we're hoping we can go again another time, and he'll be working there, and we can kind of play on the whole yard ape thing because it's hilarious. And then we went to a yarn store, and then we did a couple more errands, one of which was going into a chocolate shop, which was delicious. So I wanted the main color of my sweater to be kind of a red or red wine. This is showing pretty true to color. This is by O Wool, and this is the O Wash Sport. The colorway is Northern Cardinal. Oh, how perfect is that? And I've got 6 of these. Technically, I should only need 4 for my sizing, but that didn't seem like enough yarn. And I had gotten 5, and the lady at the shop told me that she only has 6 of these. And if I want the same dye lot, I might want to add some more. So I did add 1 more. And then I've got this for the lighter color in the sweater. This is also by O Wool. It's also the sport weight. And, oh, I'm just looking at the thing. Spun in Maine, dyed in Philadelphia. How cool. Maine's not that far from me. This one is called Pasture Rose. It's showing up mostly true to color. I think it has a little more of peachy's not quite the word. It's got some more like pink into it, even though it's not pink. And then I'm going to hold them with, this is going to be another color. And this is also by Dragon Horde Yarn. I do not remember the colorway. This is by Dragon Horde Yarn. This is Slutty Pumpkin. So that is going to be my sweater. These will be for the color work, and this will be the main body. I plan on doing a swatch today or tomorrow to kind of see how it is. I'm going to swatch one of her sections of her chart. That way I can see the color work playing together. So I've had a lot of socks kind of blow out a little bit, and I've been wanting to learn how to darn and get a darning loom. And I knew that the yarn store we were going to would have a darning loom there. There was a small one and a large one. I was kind of leaning towards the small one, but my friend Salila said I would probably get more out of it if I got the larger one because I could do other garments besides socks. So I did get the larger one. It's by Katrinkles. She has a lot of wooden stitch markers, gauge markers, that thing that has like the needle gauges, just a bunch of really cool stuff. So this is the large darning loom. And it's got everything it needs in it, including instructions, which is fabulous because I've never done it before. And last night when I was supposed to be sleeping, I played with my darning loom and started darning socks. If I wasn't tired, I probably would have done it all night long. It's really addicting. This was my first one. I think it's okay. I don't really know what I'm doing at the end once I take it off the heddle, but I think I'm going to watch a YouTube video just to see that piece. So here's one sock, and this is the other sock. Also kind of the same thing. I feel like I pulled this too tight on the bottom, but it's pretty sturdy, and this is the part that made me excited because I'm a little kid. Look, there's the hole, and there's the knitting, or there's the hole, and there's the darning. I'm such a dork. So there's those two. I have 4 or 5 more socks that I gotta darn. I'm hoping to do that today. And then I have a bucket of socks that I need to wash today. And this one is all rolled up because I didn't weave in the ends really well and I was wearing them at a soccer game. Yes, that's how long these have been sitting. And there was a part that like unraveled and then there was a hole on the bottom. So these got to get darned. I kind of rolled them on itself so it wouldn't keep dropping the stitches. I also need to block my shawl, so I think it's going to be a bath day for most of my hand knits. Acquisitions. I am part of a membership run by Knitty Natty, and the Little Wolf Knits dyed a special colorway for us. We were on a live event and we were kind of coming up with a color scheme, and then she was dyeing it, and it's called Love in Speckles. This is her logo. She is from New York, which is also pretty close to me and the same state as Knitty Natty. I've got it on 2 different bases. I have a fingering base and a worsted weight. I'm not sure what to make with them yet. I do not like muscle burrow hats, and I have a bunch of shawls right now, so I'm not sure I want to make a shawl, but it's really special yarn too, but I can't have it on my shelf and never use it, so I don't know. I also got this book at the yarn store called Mending Matters. It has a bunch of different techniques that you can use for darning and sewing patchwork on denim. It also like shows how you can do it on other fabrics, but my husband has a pile of jeans that have holes in them, and for the longest time he kept saying, you know, you're a knitter, you should figure out how to mend my pants. And I was like, that is a completely different skill. And I've kind of got the mending bug when all my socks started to have holes. Not all of them, but, and then I was like, you know, this would make him really happy. So I've got this. It's got several techniques. I've kind of skimmed through it, and I'm excited about learning that and kind of playing around with it and fixing his jean. And this is not yarn related, but it's also pretty cool. So I am part of a group on Facebook called, I think it's called like Book Talk Baddies or something like that. There is a girl who designs bookmarks from books that can no longer be in the library, and she lists the different books that she has, and she has different stamps and she laminates them. So I've got one from the Thorn of Glass, which is by Sarah G. Moss, who is also the author of A Court of Thorns and Roses. And then this one, let's see. Dress. Okay, so this is Divergent, and I've got a book stamp. I've got 3 more. I've got one from Macbeth. I have a Harry Potter one and Hunger Games. So I have 5 of those. Really, really cool. If she's somebody who doesn't have a link yet, but if I can figure out a way to put her name below, I'll do that. You have to find her on Facebook. But I would love to give her a shout out, and if someone could, if in any way that helps her build her business, I think that would be fabulous. So I'll try to put that down below. I'm encouraging her to make an Etsy shop, but if you know, in the crafting world, there's like quite a bit of fees and such tied into having an Etsy shop. So that might not be the best way to go for a new, new business. I also got this cross stitch from my friend Heather. It is a Hocus Pocus cross stitch. It has 4 different patterns in it. I'll probably do, well, I like them all, so I'm not sure. Let's got this one. The only problem is I don't know how to cross stitch. I'm curious about it, but how many hobbies can one person collect? Because I could spend my entire life doing my hobbies and never do work or anything at the house, but that's not realistic. So we'll see if that becomes a new hobby or not. Worst case scenario, I give this to a friend who can cross stitch and they do it for me. I believe that is it for acquisitions. I've also been getting back into reading, and I did a thing. My sister came up to visit a couple weeks ago and brought a couple books that she had finished that she thought I might enjoy. And then we went to this store called The Resource, or Restore, I think it's called. And it's got a bunch of books and music and VHS tapes, furniture, appliances, tons of dishes, crafting, children's books, games. It has a bunch of things that you would find at a Goodwill, except there's no clothes, and the appliances you typically don't find at a Goodwill. So we went, and of course, they have a bunch of books, and I told myself I was only going to get books that belong to a series I've read or a book that's on my to-be-read list. It didn't do that at all. It didn't do it. And I made myself stop after a few books, and I really want to go back and pick out some more. There was actually a series that was all together, and it was only missing 2 books. And I thought I could totally get this whole series for probably 20 bucks. And then buy the other 2. But then the rational part of me was like, what if you don't like the series? So I didn't do it. So I did get the first book of it. It is called Left Behind, and it is by Tim LaHaye and Jerry B. Jenkins. And it starts with a pilot on a plane, and some of the passengers just disappear. Like, their clothes and their belongings are still there, but they disappear. And the book also mentions that it's the same way on Earth, and they don't really know why or what happened. So that is what the series is about. And yeah, I'll tell you more about it. I did start it. I think I've read 2 chapters. It's interesting. It definitely has the potential to be an addictive read. I also got The Emperor's Children by Claire Messud. Let's see here. Where is the description? All right, well, I'll just read what's on the back. So, The Emperor's Children is a richly drawn, brilliantly observed novel of fate and fortune, about the intersections in the lives of 3 friends, now on the cusp of their 30s, making their way, and not, in New York City. In this tour de force, celebrated author Claire Messud brings to life a city, a generation, and the way we live in this moment. I thought that sounded pretty good. And 13 Hallows. This is by Michael Scott and Colette Freedman. And it says, after the battle, all that remained were their memories. They remembered the world as it was, a new world, a raw world, their world, where they had been the masters of all creatures, where the humankind were mere cattle, to be herded, slaughtered, and eaten. They remembered the taste of the humankind, and it was sweet. So sweet. But their memories were tainted with bitterness, memories of a boy who was not a boy, who had cast them out, cast them down, and imprisoned them in the other world. So the demons formulated a plan. It was centuries in preparation, and another century had passed while they waited for the most suitable candidate to carry it out. They were patient, for they did not measure time in human spans, and the prize was great indeed. The plan was simple: to bring the Hallows together and unlock the gate between the worlds. All they needed was the right agent, a human with a desire for absolute knowledge and prepared to do anything to achieve that end. That sounds really, really good and completely up my alley. I feel like I'm missing 2 books. They are probably near my bed, but I will maybe talk about them next time. Then the 2 books that my sister left for me. This one is called The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek, And it's about a lady, or I think a young woman, who lives in Troublesome Creek, and they scrap everything except books, and she carries books to other people. The thing about her is that she is a true blue-skinned people of Kentucky, which is a family that was on the hills in Kentucky and was mistreated because of their color of their skin. They were pretty blue looking, and it was because of a blood disease. This one I'm excited to read. This is House of Hallow. It's by Kristen Sutherland. Iris Hallow and her two older sisters are unquestionably strange. As children, they disappeared on a Scottish city street, only to return a month later with no memory of what had happened. More troubling, their appearance began to change. People find them disturbingly intoxicating, beautiful, and dangerous. And then it says, now 17-year-old Iris is doing all she can to fit in and graduate high school on time, something her two famous glamorous globe-trotting older sisters never managed to do. But when she goes missing, leaving behind bizarre clues as to her whereabouts, her sisters are left to find her. But they're not the only ones looking. As they brush against the supernatural, Iris quickly realizes the story she's been told about their past is unraveling. In the world they returned to, seemingly unharmed 10 years ago, might just be calling them back. I should really start this one soon. I'm also reading Things We Never Forget. The Things We Never Forgot. I can't remember who it's by. Just really started it. Hear really, really good things. The problem is that I read it before I go to bed, and I've been turning in quite late, so I am not getting anywhere with it, and I don't really have a feel for the book. I'm also still reading The Drums of Autumn by Diana Gabaldon. This is an Outlander book. I think it's book 4. And I'm really enjoying it, but I have to read it when I'm not tired. It's very relaxing. It does have long stretches of descriptions that I probably could skim over, but just escaping in that nice world is so magical and relaxes me. So I cannot read it when I'm tired. And it will probably take me a while to read it because it's huge. Brings me to the business side of things. I have a pattern that I am knitting and another one that I am sketching out. I'm hoping they'll be ready soon, but I have not been putting a lot of time into them. I keep doing this thing where I feel like I'm never going to be known or never going to be a successful pattern designer if I don't whip them out back to back. But I also know that in order to be happy with the patterns that I'm putting out, I really need to spend the time to make it something that I want. That is my jam. So I have to keep reminding myself that it's not a race, and that slow and steady is the way to win the race. And so I'm just going to keep chugging along and reminding myself that I do not need to hurry and I do not need to rush. I mean, technically, in all actuality, if I rushed to do things for my patterns, I probably wouldn't be turning out the things that I would see as quality and things that I would be proud of. I also want to mention our giveaway winner. Our giveaway winner is C. Alice Heldsey. Not sure I'm saying it right. They are someone who makes a lot of knitwear, is a beater and a sewist, and they made this really gorgeous shawl, and I think they also finished a tank top. And what she won. She won this nice new skein from Yarnable, which is a yarn subscription by Hypnotic Yarn. And this colorway is Bougie New Year. It's super gorgeous and I can't wait to send it out. I look forward to getting ready to ship this out to you. Also, your shawl is gorgeous and your tank top is delightful. Life on the farm. So my Ram is 2 years old and he is turning into a wicked jerk. I think it's because we were too gentle and kind of treated him not quite like a pet, but not quite like a sheep. So he thinks he has more power than he should. And so he's a bit of a jerk. And he actually was being really rude to my ewes and had one of them miscarry. It was a pretty early miscarry, but it was also very disappointing. So I'm not sure. I mean, technically I could get her bred right away, but he's so mean when I put them together that I feel bad. I'll have to do some research and ask other couple farmers kind of to weigh in. He's such a jerk, but he has really good wool. He has like really gorgeous feet according to my shearer, and he's got so many good qualities, but he's such a jerk. And then I have one lady who's in heat. I thought she was pregnant, so that's a little bit disappointing. And my other lady is pregnant, and she will be due at the beginning to middle of May. So it's exciting, but I was really hoping that all 3 of them would be bred. So if I can figure out if the jerk ram, Goliath, will be okay to put with the other 2 sheep for a while, I will breed them. Otherwise, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. And that's about it. We have a bunny. That's not mine. It's my father-in-law's. He used to breed bunnies, and the bunny is all by himself because a mink ate all of our chickens last year and all the rabbits but that one. He had a different cage setup, and I think that's how he kind of survived. Anyways, he's lonely, so my father-in-law is looking for a female rabbit to hang out with him and maybe even possibly breed. So when that happens, I will, of course, put pictures in. We are looking for some new chickens since we lost all our chickens, but the market is a little crazy. Eggs are super expensive and just like ridiculous to buy. So everyone is buying chicks and they're selling out so quick. And they used to be like 1 something to 2 something. I think it was like $1 maybe to like a little over 2, depending on what kind they were. And this year they're $4 roughly. So that's crazy. And in order to get, like, they have to be a year before they can lay. So we definitely want to buy some, and we're kind of like not too happy that it's going to be quite expensive. We were hoping that somebody was going to get rid of some of their flock, but because of today's market with eggs, it's not very likely. Family life. Family life has been going pretty well. My youngest continues to amaze me. He's 9 years old and he's super smart, and he's going through this thing where he is challenging himself to do wall sits and push-ups, and he does this cute little dance where he's kind of scrunched down and kicks his feet out, and he started doing a little bit of some break dancing. He's so cute. And then my next son, or his name is Weston, my next son, Wyatt, he has been having some issues with his knee, and they got significantly worse with the season. He had a lot of injuries because he plays, he's just crazy. I think he doesn't realize that he has one body for the rest of his life and that he has to be careful. So we have brought him to urgent care a couple of times and nothing really came of it. The second time they referred him to physical therapy. His first physical therapy session, they thought he might have a tear on the outside of his meniscus, which is that kneecap. And so they also referred him to ortho. They did some x-rays, didn't find anything, but he's having significant pain and some other symptoms that physical therapy is picking up on. So he will be having an MRI soon. He was hoping to do AAU, which is a basketball, but it's separate from the school, and usually you have to be invited to do it. He was invited, but I'm worried he might need surgery, and I really don't want him to do more damage. So he's a little frustrated with me. And then my next kiddo, Michael, he is currently in Florida right now with his Nana and Pops and having the time of his life. He watched a rocket launch at the Kennedy Space Center. He's been fishing, which he loves. He's been meeting additional family. He's been swimming. There was a day earlier this week where it was like 30 something and I had my fuzzy pajama pants on and my turtleneck sweater, and we were video chatting, and his Nana was laughing at me and she said it was 85 degrees. This was like 7 o'clock at night. 85 degrees, and they had just gotten out of the pool. Ugh. Anyways, he's enjoying it, which is great. He also has a job at Pizza Hut that he loves, and he has started a trade school. So 1 week is classwork and the next week is carpentry, and he's really loving it. And if all goes well, he'll be able to graduate early next year in December. So I'm quite proud of him, and yeah. And then my oldest, Cece, has moved out of the house, and she is doing quite well according to what she's saying, and we talk a little bit here and there, and she seems like she's doing a pretty decent job of taking care of herself. For the spice of mental health today, I'm actually going to put a really nice photo here that has some things to let go and be graceful to yourself and kind of limit the stress that you're putting on yourself. And so I believe that's it. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me. I look forward to hanging out with you again, hopefully quite soon. And happy crafting! Bye!